We believe relationships are everything when it comes to achieving success as an organization. Although we don't always agree on everything, the DSA has enjoyed a positive relationship with the sheriff. If elected, what would you do to continue to build and strengthen this relationship?
Well, first off, I think the work of the association is very important. I was the president of the association in 1979, and so, I believe that the association, has a very important role in the organization. I have an open door policy. We meet with the association representatives all the time. But there are some times that we haven't seen Hugh in a while, we'll call Hugh and we'll say, come on over for a cup of coffee. And I think it's an important way for people in the organization to remain anonymous and maybe voice their grievances and their concerns to the association, and they have an open door policy and come and talk to the under sheriff and I or any of the staff members. So I think it's really important, the role, because this is our organization. It isn't any one person's organization. It's important, for us to talk about issues, not make it look personal, and I think that we've been very successful especially in the last several years. And we'll continue to build on that, and we'll continue to have our open door policy.
Thank you. Our lives are becoming more increasingly busy, and we all have to strive to achieve a balance between work, family, and leisure time. We understand the important and constant nature of our business. However, we believe it is possible to provide employees with a reasonable amount of security when scheduling them for work. Fixed schedules contribute to a sense of stability and create a platform upon which we can achieve that elusive balance between work and the rest of our lives. What are your feelings on providing such stability, and are you committed to resolving the scheduling issues as they arise?
Yes, before there was an issue of an opponent, we had met with the association and discussed scheduling some vacation issues that the association had, and so we committed to forming a committee, to discuss those issues with the association. And I told you that there's no done deal. We're open. I understand the whole relief thing. I used to do the schedule as a lieutenant, and so I understand why people would want to have stability. And I think it's even more important now because of the 12-hour shifts. Before, when I was doing the schedule, we had 3 shifts, and the relief shift wasn't that much of an issue. And in fact, when I was doing the schedule, people volunteered for the relief schedule because you usually work less than 2,080 hours. I know it's an issue. We're committed to talking to the association, and in the framework that we have, as long as it doesn't cost more money, we're willing to accommodate to the extent that we can.
Okay. Our members care deeply about seniority and the object means of determining many of the variables in our organization, such as schedules, assignments, and the distribution of overtime. Where we cannot agree on seniority as a deciding factor of these variables, we believe a written policy would take the subjectivity out of the process and eliminate hard feelings between employees. Do you support this concept? Why or why not?
Well, I support some of it. From a management point of view, it's not good business to put schedules and seniority, those kinds of things, in the MOU. We have a side letter on schedules. We also have a side letter on seniority, which we established a number of years ago, that people can sign up for shifts and days off based on seniority. I'm not familiar with the issue about overtime. I know at one time, years ago, seniority was done by a list, and it was the first up got called, and that became problematic, and the association opted not to do that anymore. But I would not be willing to put that in the contract, because then that's something that has to be negotiated out, and if the situation changed, that could be very costly. But I recognize seniority. That's why we agreed to the shift and day off and picking your kind of schedule, except for stations. But I would not be willing to make that a permanent part of the MOU. I recognize seniority on assignments can apply. It's based on merit. It's based on an interview process, and I don't think that would be really good practice to reward somebody just for seniority on a horizontal assignment when maybe someone was more qualified and more willing and had prepared better for that process.
Okay, there are actually 3 additional questions that have come up, one of which we addressed this morning, and there are 2 more add-ons that we'll ask for both you and Kim Holmes. The first one is, considering the current financial climate, it has been suggested by some that reverting to a 2-class deputy system, or perhaps going to a correctional officer system for our custodial officers might result in significant cost savings for the county. What is your opinion on this?
I'll talk about it a little bit more, but I was able to negotiate the one-class deputy sheriff system in 1996, the first budget that I had as sheriff. That took a lot of political capital, and it's taken a lot of political capital to beat off attempts to change that over the years by the HR director and some other. And I can commit to you that's not something will ever be on my agenda. That's something that I will fight for. And it's not only just about compensation. It's about the organization and making us, good in the marketplace. Our competition is Contra Costa County, which is one-class deputy sheriff; Alameda County, which is one-class; San Francisco; San Mateo's kind of a hybrid; Sacramento is one-class, and so that's not anything that I would ever consider. And I can commit to you that as long as I'm the sheriff, that's not going to happen. There have been attempts of late when the coroner merger was happening. There were supporters of my opponents that said, well, geez, rather than just correctionalize the jail or two classes, you can save a lot of money. I talked to the board, I talked to the county administrator's office, explained to them the reasons why we've done this, and there was a commitment that that's not something that they're looking at. So I can tell you that's not anything that's going to happen while I'm the sheriff.
Thank you. The majority of our membership works in the custody division, including courts. Would you ever consider allowing deputies within those divisions to have the opportunity to hold supervisory or sergeant level positions within those divisions?
Well, it's one of the problems. We did consider that, but one of the problems, there's two problems. One is that if we were to do that, then that satisfies the argument of those who say, let's correctionalize or who specialize. And like Sonoma County, you can do that, but they're correctional officers. And so that, we thought about that, and we thought, well, if we do that, then we would say, well, why don't you just correctionalize or have two-class deputy sheriff? The second issue is that there's a lot of organizations that have had issues like that, where a person promotes in the jail and promotes in the courts, and then they want to transfer to patrol, and they don't have experience. And there have been a whole host of problems, and so that's why we've not considered it. Our hope when we did the one-class deputy sheriff was that everybody would be equal and everybody would have the same experience and training. We haven't been able to achieve that, but that's the goal, and we want to consider that as the future. So that's why we've not considered that, because we believe that it would leave us vulnerable to doing a two-class system or a correctional system.
Thank you. Final of the almost final of the new questions. Thank you guys for your patience on that and for allowing the new questions to come in.
Okay.
As this has progressed and as word has gotten out, it's a lot of information.